You're listening to Pink Lady Presents, only on LA Talk Radio.
I'm gonna live till I die. I'm gonna laugh instead of cry. I'm gonna take the town and turn it upside down. I'm gonna live until I die.
Welcome to Pink Lady Presents It Ain't Over Till You Say It's Over. This is a program about sharing with you, my audience, lives well lived. Well, I have a life that is being well lived right beside me. And her name is Ester Benjamin Shifren. Hello, Ester.
Hello.
Welcome. I, first of all, read your book, which we're going to talk about, and your life. What an inspiration. First of all, you were born in China. Am I right?
Right.
And tell me about that part.
Well, I was the fifth generation in China, actually. My family went to China in the early 1840s.
Wow.
They had traveled from India to China in the main and originated in Spain, as my father told me, and the Middle East as well.
Unreal.
So they were there for over 100 years. And my father told me that we were the first Jewish family in Shanghai in that era, but because we were together with the Sassoons and Hardoons and Kaduris, who were the big names in Shanghai, I prefer to say that we were all together at the same time.
I love it. Well, we have a picture, I think it's being shown, of your mother and dad's wedding, which,
Right.
I mean, it looked like a prince and a princess getting married. And the wedding cake, well, I'm like 5 feet. The wedding cake had to be 10 feet. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
And you know, I mean, they did extremely well in China. And it was known as the Paris of the East. And so all the clothes were designer things that came from abroad.
Wow.
And they lived in a 24-roomed home, which everything is in my book. I've got photographs of everything. With 2 sheiks at the front gates to let people in.
Oh, my.
And a swimming pool and tennis court at the back. And of course, when the war happened...
Tell us what war, so that I...
Well, when World War II, the Japanese were already in Shanghai, and they kept Tokyo time even in the areas that they lived in.
Okay.
They had an agenda because they needed land acquisition because they didn't have enough of it. And so they were learning English and Chinese. And my mother was teaching English as well to a Japanese man, and they were friends. They were not enemies, but they were always fighting with the Chinese. I was actually born in Hong Kong because my mother was evacuated when the Japanese bombed Shanghai in 1937.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so any British, Americans, Belgians, Canadians who wanted to be evacuated could go to Hong Kong by ship. The government sent them.
And so then when did the Japanese actually hit where
So
you
what
were?
happened was the day after Pearl Harbor, they marched into all the businesses in Shanghai and took over. They took over the gas company and the electric company and major businesses. They walked into my father's building and business and said, who's the owner here? Put the keys on the top of this thing. Who runs the show? And then he had to leave, and they kept key people in there just to show them how to run the business so they could take it over. And then we were told that we would be designated to be interned because we were British. And it had nothing to do with being Jewish, although many refugees had already come to Shanghai and had been helped by our group. But they were put into Hongqiu, which was an area where Chinese people lived, and the Japanese moved into their homes that they took over, and they were able to go out of Hongqiu to work if they had a permit or a job.
So we're talking about December 8,
No, we're talking about the refugees were prior to that when they started leaving Europe.
And that would have been?
would have been in the late 30s and early 1940, 1941 before.
Okay. Before the bombing of
Right.
Pearl Harbor.
But then when they took us in, it was only the British and the Americans and the Canadians and any allies. We were allies' enemies, right? So they interned us, and they told us we would be interned, and they issued armbands, which are on my book in the front.
Right.
And B was for British.
Right.
And the Americans had another one, and we were told that we would be called and told when to go. And then my father had to deliver his car, and they took everything we had.
So how long actually were you interred with your family?
Interned.
Interned.
For 3 years.
3 years.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
And then what happened?
Well, then we were actually the last intake because they were staggered. They had no idea it would be so staggeringly big.
Right.
And so we went in with all the officials, which was a good thing because we went in as a family, because wherever there were single men and women, they had a
separated.
much harder time.
Oh, wow.
They tortured them more, and it was more. But because the Japanese loved kids and the officials went in our camp, we kind of had a camp where they were quite nice to us in a way.
Okay. Thank goodness.
However, they relocated us when they heard they were going to be bombed in a hospital that they were running as an arms depot undercover. And so...
what I'm saying is, after that, I mean, you had 3 years of it.
Right.
How did you get to where the next
many people couldn't leave the camps because they had nowhere to go, but we had an apartment that we had rented. It was a leased apartment. So we went back to our apartment. There was nothing left
where
there.
was the apartment?
In the international settlement, where all the British and the... And so we went back there, and we stayed there until the communist rumblings began. And my father had tried to start up business again, but the Japanese had taken everything. They stripped us completely. And so my mother and father decided before the communists really took over, and really months before, that we were going to go to Hong Kong and restart up his business in Hong Kong, which he did, but then the Korean embargo occurred. And because of the war in Korea, there was a freeze and there was an embargo, and nothing could come in and out, and he had warehouses.
Oh, my Lord.
Which are called godowns in China.
Okay.
And everything was in there, and nothing was going in or out, and so the rent was freezing him and killing him, and he said, we can't do this. My grandmother's beautiful Blackwood furniture, everything had been sent there, and before she had stuff. And they said, he said to the manager and the owner of the warehouse, just take the stuff, you can have it. And we went first, my mother and the children,
where?
To Israel.
To Israel.
And my father came several months later. We actually went and lived in a tent and then in a hut in Israel because we were new immigrants in Haifa.
In Haifa.
We were new immigrants and we had no money, and so we were the only Westerners living in an area with...
So your mother and father couldn't take anything?
Nothing. We had nothing. And we were together with the Holocaust people, the people from India, the people from the Arab, expelled Arabs. And we were in an olive grove, and there were no toilets or anything. We lived in a tent.
Now, for how long did this go on?
That we were there for close to 9 months in that transit camp.
And then?
And then my father spoke to a real estate guy who said, well, I've got something that I could show you. And my father said, I can't go, you go. And I was 14 years old, and I did the transaction.
Really?
And the woman in this, it was a 1-bedroom thing, and 1.5 bedrooms on a rooftop.
For how many people?
5 of us. And we used to bring in our beds every night from the rooftop and make them, lay them, and we bartered with the women. We had a fridge that my mother had spent the last money in Hong Kong to buy, a fridge and bicycles we had.
Right.
And she bartered with the people who had the apartment who couldn't stay because she had been a prisoner of the Japanese for 2 years in a cage without being able to stand up because they wanted to see what it would do to her legs. And she had rheumatism so badly that they had to leave the Carmel where they lived.
Wow.
So that was a huge experience. We went to a beautiful view of the whole of Haifa on the top of Mount Carmel. And I would love to show you that photograph one day soon. And but this was a 1.5 room, and But we were happy.
I was going to say, yes.
We were happy.
Yes.
My mother started a dance school and a yoga school, and one by one pupils came. We put on shows. I played the piano for all the shows.
And
I
also
taught
you
dancing.
sang at that time.
And I
remember?
taught dancing. I taught
Okay.
ballroom dancing from age 15 to 19. I was teaching ballroom dancing.
And when did you go into the Israeli army?
When I was 18.
And
I-
now everybody, I don't know whether our audience
Yeah.
realizes it, but in Israel, everyone must do a certain amount of military service.
2 years.
Is it 2
2
years?
years.
And that's men and women.
Right.
So,
So-
when you went in at what age?
I went
18.
in just close to 18
Okay.
and went into the army, and then they put me into the entertainment corps right away because of my
Oh.
singing and acting and all that
Well,
stuff.
that was good.
It was wonderful, but I still had to work in the town major's office, so because I had to have a day job and a singing job at night. And-
Not unlike what happens in Hollywood now.
Right, exactly. And so my job during the war, which is when I was in the army,
Right.
was to go to the parents of kids who had been injured and killed to tell them. So, it was a very
That's
tough
heavy
thing for a
duty,
young
yes.
person to do.
Yes.
But I had a scholarship for piano playing from age 14. When we left we were still in this transit place.
Right.
And our piano arrived,
Right.
and that we kept that. And a man arrived in a long black coat and a black hat and a black bag, and he said, "I heard someone playing the piano, and I'm a singer from Romania, and I have a concert." And he pulls out a scroll and opens it, and he says, "And I'm looking for an accompanist." So I said, "Well, it was me, but I haven't had any piano lessons." I had 2 weeks of piano lessons,
my
but I was
goodness.
playing by ear.
I love it.
And he said, "That's okay." And my mother let me go with him because he was a Jewish man in Israel on a bus to the leading musicians in Haifa. They had the music store, and they were in the conservatory.
Oh, wow.
And he spoke German to them. I didn't understand a word they were saying. We knew very little Hebrew at the time. And he said, and she said, "Okay, sit down and play." So I started playing, and they said, "Okay, fine, we'll teach you." So I said, "No, we don't have money for that."
Right.
She said, "No, you have a stipendia. That's a scholarship."
Wow.
And I had a scholarship till the day I left Israel in piano playing, and I did all my exams. 4 years. I did 11 years and 4 years.
So how old were you when you left Israel for South Africa?
19.
And why South Africa?
Because I married a South African who was a volunteer to the army.
In Israel?
Yeah, during the
Ah,
Sinai.
I was wondering how you
came.
met him.
He came specifically to be a volunteer during the Sinai campaign.
I see, okay.
And I was in the town major's office, so all the soldiers from everywhere used to come in there to go through and so on. And the South Africans knew me because I spoke English and they didn't speak Hebrew.
Okay.
And he came, and
there was love at first sight.
well, it was very interesting because he brought, like my mother said, beware of strangers bearing gifts. He brought earrings and he brought tobacco. For my father, the only thing he didn't bring was mirrors.
Oh, okay.
And he went shooting down the mountain because we lived on the top of Mount
Right,
Carmel with
right.
my brother. And my brother thought he was wonderful because they were both macho. and it was an English-speaking thing.
But
and
how did your family feel about you going away from
it
that?
was horrible. It was like Fiddler on the Roof. It was
Yeah.
the most painful thing of my life. And I ended up in South Africa for 36 years.
Did you go to
Wow.
Cape Town or
No,
Johannesburg?
first went to a mining community 100 miles from Johannesburg.
Oh, wow.
And I did not fit in. I came from a cosmopolitan background
Right.
that was unbelievable. And
And what
it
did you
was-
do while you were there? You had children.
I had 3 kids and then a 4th one when I didn't intend to, and it was just wonderful. She's marvelous, and she's a musician, and she sings.
Okay,
and
but going back now,
Yeah.
why did you leave South Africa?
because I never wanted to stay there. I couldn't stand the policy, and I had come from a totally cosmopolitan background. We had friends from every walk of life. And then I come to South Africa, and you're not allowed to mix. I was the only one of all my friends who knew the last name of the people who worked in my house.
Oh,
and they looked after me. They
Right.
were my mother.
But now,
I-
okay, so now we're in South
Yeah.
Africa for almost 36
Right.
years. Then you came to
I went to Israel, and there was a war, the Gulf War,
Right.
and they told me to please leave
Good.
because I couldn't get a mask.
Okay.
Because I wasn't an Israeli, so I said, I'm going to Florida. And my brother said, why? I said, because I'm going to meet Americans and see if I can live in the States one day.
And?
Why Florida? Because there are people there who've come from other places and they'll be happy to help me. And I don't need a big coat.
But then you came to Florida.
I came to Florida and ended up going to Canada to visit my cousins.
When did you come to L.A.?
I came to LA 20 years ago.
Now, remember, everyone,
Indi-
this is
wait a minute,
all
you got-
in.
You got to go back to India,
Yeah.
to Shanghai,
To
to
Israel.
to South Africa, to Florida and Canada, and back to the United States
And
and,
then-
Los
and
Angeles.
And then
Right.
back to South Africa first, and then met the lawyer who had told me in Canada that I was over the hill and would never get into Canada.
But hiding in a cave of trunks.
Right.
When I tell you you're not going to be able to put it down, you won't put it down. But besides a singer and a pianist and a survivor, when you see what we're going to show you now, 3 of many, many, many hundreds of paintings that, believe me, I saw these 3, I went crazy. I said, who did this? And she said, me. I mean, you just threw me another loop.
Thank you.
You're a fabulous artist. How did you get into that?
When I went back from my visit to Canada,
Okay.
I went back to South Africa, and I said to my mother on the way back, I went via Israel, that I was going to take art lessons and I was going to do art, and then I would find a way to get into the States eventually.
Right.
Never thinking Canada, because the lawyer had aggravated me by saying I was over the hill.
Okay.
So I get to South Africa, and I started painting, and within 3 months I sold like 30 paintings.
Unreal.
I was painting in front of 2 stores that were art stores. And the lawyer came. He was there killing time at the
Right.
and he was going back via London to Canada.
And what did he say?
He said he didn't recognize me, but when I knew who he was, I said, "You're on my hit list." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm the person you told is over the hill in Canada." He said, "You didn't tell me you're such a good artist."
Oh, thank you.
I said, "Well, I wasn't. I didn't tell him that I wasn't an artist when I met him."
Okay.
And so he said, "I love your art." And then he said, "I'll get you in within 6 months as an artist, and I'm charging you half my fee to make amends."
Wow.
Within 4 months, the papers arrived, and within 6 months, I crossed the border as a landed immigrant.
Yes.
It was such a story. The whole of Canada knows that story. He told everyone, and all the South Africans knew the story. It was just
Now,
magic.
I need to add to your story.
Yes.
Because when we met a number of years ago, I've been a chaplain, as you know, for 56 years, and I was conducting Sabbath services at the Bel Air Presbyterian Church in the Evans Chapel on Friday nights for veterans and active duty military. And Esther came to one of the services, and I discovered that she played piano. And I said, as soon as we finished the service, and I cut it short, I said, "Why don't you come on up?" And she came up and sat at the piano, and the whole congregation came up and stood around the piano, and I don't care what song they chose, she knew it. You can't stump Esther Benjamin Shifren.
I'm very lucky.
And the gentleman who had the voice of this group was a fellow named Bob Zinzel. He was a B-29 pilot, World War II,
Right.
barely able to walk, but he could sing. And so he came, and the long and the short of it is, when the book came out, we had a book signing at the Veterans Home in West Los Angeles for Esther, and she spoke to the veterans who lived there. And that was the beginning of our relationship a long time. What was the actual publication?
Lovely. What
date?
a happy day that we met,
It
really.
was wonderful.
Wonderful.
I mean, what
Absolutely.
you did was really and truly amazing.
Well, the
Wonderful.
the whole story of, first of all, Jewish family in China in the 1800s. I mean, just picture it.
Right.
I mean, that in itself is
Yeah.
a storybook. and your mother and dad's marriage, like a storybook type of beautiful memories. I mean, of servants. And I mean, it's like something that people would dream of, and then to be crushed by a war and being interned. I mean, it's just how do you pronounce
Interned.
it? Interned. I'll never say that
but
word
I must
right.
say that we're very lucky because, I
Yes,
mean, the
you are
Holocaust
blessed.
people had a much harder time. The
Yes.
people in Germany, you know, I mean, I still say we were lucky. We survived and we got out
But you're a
and we made a
survivor
new
anyway,
life.
Esther.
Yeah.
You're a survivor.
I am.
And I have to tell you, Esther says, you can achieve what you can conceive. I like that. You have to really think about that one can achieve what you can conceive, what you think.
Right. And my
It's gonna
motto
happen.
is to just show up.
There
you
it
have
is.
to show up and things happen.
Like you did today on
Thank you
Pink
so
Lady
much.
Presents,
Thank
and you
you.
gave me. I'm having more presents for my upcoming birthday, and you're one of them. And I will be a glorious 86 years young. And let me tell you something. This is like I'm like 18 again.
I love it.
Because life is bringing me close to people in my life, which I am so proud to know.
But you are remarkable.
People said to her, you know, you're going to be 86, happy birthday. She said, no, I'm beginning my 87th year.
I love that. I turned 80 in November last year.
You see,
So-
it ain't over till you say it's over. Esther Benjamin
It's
Shifren.
just always a
Thank
pleasure.
you. God bless you.
Thank you.
We will be right back.
Thank you.
I believe it is not the breaths we take in life that count. It's what we do with the breaths we take. And I should know. 84 years young. Today on this stage, you will see talented performers all over the age of 60.
Life is a cabaret, old chum. It's only a cabaret, old chum.
Money! You got lots of friends hanging around that door.
I'm gonna live and live now. 'Cause everything's coming up rosy.
Then your fingers touched my silent heart and taught it how to sing.
Dear, with your lips to mine, oh, rhapsody divine, sing with the strings of my heart.
To reach the unreachable stars.
But I've got to do it all in 3 minutes or less. How about maybe ragtime? How about boogie woogie?
Darling, let's dance. Let the music take us. The blues ain't gonna break us. We won't give it no chance.
Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
You've treated me so kind. I'm about to lose my mind. You made me so very happy.
So hush, little baby, don't you cry.
To reach the unreachable star.
And we are back. Wow. All I can say is, in life, you meet people that are absolutely take your breath away. And this young lady standing beside me here took my breath away with Dove we went to Della Reese's church. And we sat there because we were celebrating Della's birthday at that time.
Exactly.
And this young lady, Miss Kim Yarbrough, stood up and opened her lovely mouth. And I was like, I'm going like this, wow!
I still have the bruise in my rib.
I know. And you know what? Before I even go on and talk to her, I want you to hear my lovely, beautiful Kim Yarbrough sing you a song.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. Never had before, no, no. And I just want to tell you right now that I believe, I really do believe that something's got a hold on me, yeah. Oh, it must be love. Oh, something's got a hold on me right now, child. Let me tell you now, I've got a feeling, I feel so strange. Everything about me seems to have changed. Step by step, I got a brand new walk. I even sound sweeter when I talk. I said, oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, it must be love. You know it must be love. Let me tell you now, something's got a hold on me, yeah. Oh, something's got a hold on me right now, child. Oh, it must be love. Let me tell you now, I've never felt like this before. Something's got a hold on me that won't let go. Believe I'd die if I only could. I feel so strange, but it sure is good. I said, oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, it must be love. You know it must be love. Let me tell you now, my heart feels happy, my feet feel light. I shake all over, but I feel alright. I never thought this could happen to me. Got me happy, but I'm in misery. I never thought it could be this way. Got me happy and I'm in misery. I never thought it could be like this, but love shook on and put a hurting on me. I said, oh, 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 hey, hey, yeah. Oh, it must be love. Oh, you know it walks like a love. It talks like a love. Make me feel alright. In the middle of the night. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
Woo! Yeah! Oh, my dear, sit down. Sit down. You deserve to sit down. I should fix that mic here. Oh, Kim. Woo! First of all, thank you, Memphis, for being the home of this lovely lady.
I have to thank Memphis.
I know.
I have to thank Memphis myself.
Yeah, I mean, now, why do you thank Memphis?
You know, when I was a kid and I was too young and crazy to appreciate the legacy, the musical legacy that is a part of Memphis, I had no idea where I came from. I thought everybody, I didn't know. I thought everybody sang. I thought everybody played the piano. I thought everybody, you know, because everybody did.
Right.
Everybody did.
I mean,
and I traveled the world and realized,
you know, people like me who got to carry a note. I mean, really. I think that's why all my life I've really envied people that God gave a voice to, because I never had one.
You're not
I
alone.
always wanted to one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, acting a voice that's different than a musical voice like that you have. And you were on, now, from Memphis, you've been on The Voice.
Yes.
And you've been on Kathy Lee, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and you've been on all these. How did you get to that point?
Well, The Voice was a big catalyst for a lot of that.
How old were you when you got onto The Voice?
Oh my God! Do I dare say?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a family show. It's okay.
Yeah.
I was 50.
God bless you. You see, it ain't over till you say it's over. Am I right? Really?
Right.
Thank
You're
you,
absolutely
God.
right.
Thank you, God.
I was 50 when I was on the show.
Good girl. Good girl. And how did you come to do that, though? I mean,
it was a complete fluke. I had auditioned for Star Search. I actually auditioned for The Apprentice.
Oh, I love it.
I auditioned for all of these singing reality shows.
Right.
The Apprentice was the only one that wasn't a singing show,
Right.
obviously, but just got turned down, not even a sideways glance.
Wow.
And then one day a friend of mine said, hey, they're auditioning for this new show, The Voice. I'm like, I am not going down to the forum. Yeah, you guys can go down there.
Right.
About 10 of my friends went down to the forum. And I'm like, I'm not going to go down there and sing and sleep on the ground. I'm just not going to do it. And then I just happened to be singing at a little cabaret show over in Los Feliz.
Okay.
And The Voice producers approached that show.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's how I got a specific
What's
day and
meant
time
to be
to audition.
meant to be.
Yeah, exactly
Wow.
right.
I want to jump in with a little story.
Yeah.
Okay? How I met Kim.
Yes.
Okay? Great story. I get a phone call from Rita McKenzie.
Oh, Rita.
Rita McKenzie was appearing at the El Portel
I don't think people
doing
might
The
know who
World
she is.
of Ethel Merman.
Okay,
It
there
was
you
a
go.
one-woman show
Right.
that she does on cruise ships and all over. And she said, I'd like your help doing something. I'm thinking about producing a show. And I said, okay, I don't know what I can do to help you, but let me know.
Right.
So I go to Richard Kriblin's house.
Mm-hmm.
I walk in expecting there's going to be a crowd of people. And there's Kim Yarbrough. And Richard sits down, and Rita sits down, and I sit down, and Kim Yarbrough came out and did the show for us.
Oh, my.
And the windows rattled, and we were unnerved. I mean, I kept waiting for him to say, wait, what's that? It's not an earthquake. It was amazing.
Kim Yarbrough.
Okay, and then nothing really came of the show, and years go by, and we're at Della Reese's birthday at the church.
Yeah.
There's Kim Yarbrough. I said, this is too good to be true.
And you know what?
No.
When you brought your beautiful wife up and I said, you are married to Pink Lady? No. I don't know if you remember this, but when you were doing Rockin' with the Ages,
Right.
my friend Patty Brooks was in the show.
I just spoke to her.
Yes, I met you at the show.
Oh, my Lord.
And it was years ago. And so when I found out you two were married and I had met you separately,
I love it.
I thought, oh, this world is too small.
Exactly. I just spoke to Patty.
Yeah.
Just like the other day.
How's she doing?
Doing good. God
Good.
bless her.
Good.
God bless her. In fact, we're talking about her being on. So now we're The Voice, we're at all these other things. Now, you're what we call, my audience, the word quadruple, 4-time winner, meaning a quadruple threat, a singer, an actor, a dancer, and a violinist.
Yes.
I mean, how did you do all these things? I mean, when did you actually start?
Oh my God. I actually started with the piano. You know how your parents always, at 6 years old,
Oh,
they
yeah.
put you on the piano, the
Right,
first thing.
right.
And I just
Was your family a
wasn't.
musical family at all?
My mom, that's a difficult question. My dad's side of the family, yes.
Okay,
My dad was a wonderful jazz piano player by ear, harmonica player, wonderful singer.
Oh, wow.
My mom couldn't carry a note in a boot.
I love her.
But my ancestors on my mother's side are the original Fisk Jubilee singers that sang before Queen Elizabeth.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's farther back on my mom's side.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. So you started when you were what, 8 years old?
Six.
Whatever?
6.
And then you also are an actress.
Yes.
An actor. Like, tell us some of the shows that you've been on.
Oh, wow. That's been a real blessing. I've been on Jane the Virgin twice.
Pardon the expression, it's a family show.
I I've been on Bones.
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay.
I've been on The Mindy Project.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I've been on New Girl. I actually am a regular comedy sketch character on the Conan O'Brien show.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Now, what time is his show?
His show is usually around 11 o'clock at night. It's the late show.
I got to stay up. I'm so bad. I'm up at like 5:30, 6 in the morning.
Oh, bless your heart.
If by 6:30, half my day is gone.
Yes.
So come 9 o'clock, 9:30, I mean, I'm like, okay, I better go to bed because I'm gone. I'm gone.
You're
I'm
out.
going to make myself stay up. So
And he's a New Englander from Harvard University.
Yes.
and the Lampoon.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, now the other thing, you were also Nell. You played Nell in the...
Ain't Misbehavin'.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that was
how
my
long was
very
that?
first
Did
tour.
you do that?
That tour was about 2 years. We toured the East Coast. I wasn't with the tour when it went to the East Coast, but then I joined it on the second leg of the tour.
Oh.
It was based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Twin
really?
Cities. I lived in the Twin Cities for about 7 years.
Oh,
And I
okay.
played Nell up and down the coast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then your production, it says when you were 6, you started, and this is cute, it was called Outrageous Production Show. What does that mean, outrageous? I mean, I know what it means, but what does it mean?
I have always been one to push the envelope.
Well, yeah.
You gotta
push
do
it,
it.
babe. Yeah,
you gotta
push
do
it.
it. Hey, you know, I was the 6-year-old in the neighborhood. I've been a producer since I was a young kid, and I was the kid that would walk up and down the street with a big cardboard poster board and a wig going, hey, let's do a show, guys. Okay, I'll be Pocahontas, and you be this, and you be this character, and then you stand over by the bush. I
love it.
I just grew up that way.
Oh, my. Now, do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister and an older sister.
Now, are they musically inclined at all? Or?
They sing, but they don't do it professionally.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, they can sing, but they don't do it
What
professionally.
was the love that really made you want to do this? It has to be a love because the way you come across, Kim, is so real
Thank
in what
you.
you do that there has to be a love there. Not just, well, I want to be a singer.
Well, actually, the love started with classical music.
Interesting. Okay.
I was 4 years old when I absolutely knew I wanted to be a violinist.
No way.
And I begged my mom and dad for 3 years.
At 4?
At
you
4,
started.
I knew because my mom was a teacher.
Okay.
And she took me to school with her. I was raised in Memphis, of course, and the Memphis Symphony was playing at her school, one of the days I went to the school with her.
Right.
And I was so enthralled with the lady, the concert mistress. Her name was Joy Brown Weiner.
Wow. Okay.
And the way she was getting up and moving out of her seat with such passion and such fire, I thought, I want to do that.
Oh, my
I want to
Lord.
do that. And I
Wow.
never gave up the dream. So by 7, they got me an instrument, and I don't know, maybe I played in another life, but I could play right away before I had any
Really?
lessons. Yeah. I just knew instinctively what
The
to
only
do.
one I've ever heard that did that, something like that, was Yosha Heifetz.
Yasha Heifetz, yes, of course.
And he said that when he wanted to play, but his family, well, we have to have lessons. No, I can do it.
That's what I told my mom. I can already play. And she didn't believe me.
And you did.
I played in the store where they purchased the instrument. I
bet-
actually met Isaac Stern when I was
No
in college.
way.
Yeah.
Oh,
I went
my
backstage
Lord,
to
Kim,
meet
that
him.
must have been exciting.
It was beautiful.
Well, you must have met so many people on your way to what you're doing now.
Yes.
Who else would you say helped you on the way? I know Della did.
Della, I have to say 2 people, Della and my acting coach, Richard
Really?
Lawson.
Okay.
Richard Lawson has been, oh my gosh, he was in The Main Event, he was in Poltergeist. He's been an actor in Hollywood for a very long time. And he's actually married to Beyonce's mother.
Really?
They married about 2 years ago.
Oh, my
He's married to
goodness.
Tina Lawson. But way before he got married to Tina, I started taking his classes.
Right.
And he has just taught me everything I know about acting.
Wow.
He
Now,
guides
is he
you.
more on the serious side of acting? I mean, is he more a teacher for serious roles or both?
Both. He
Okay.
is taking his class is like acting class on steroids.
Oh, I like
Because
that. What's his
everyone
name again?
His name is Richard Lawson.
Shifren, okay.
And everyone, if you decide to be a student of his, you are also automatically a filmmaker. Because one of the first things he teaches you to do is edit, shoot, light, and do sound. You also have to turn in a short film every couple of weeks. You also have to do an on-camera audition, just like you would audition in Hollywood every 2 weeks. It's amazing.
Well, how did you, like, your first film thing that you did for him, what did you do?
The first one I did, I was in New York auditioning for Hairspray.
Really?
And it was, oh my God, it was a journey. We were riding the subway, and I had never ridden the subway before.
Was it your first time back east?
No, it wasn't my first time back east, but it was my first time riding the subway and actually going through that New York audition process, which is a lot more grueling than here.
Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, when you say different than out here, what is like?
Well,
what does it entail?
in Los Angeles, you're driving in your car, you got air conditioning, and you're like, oh, let me call my agent and let him know I'm going to be late. In New York, you are hoofing it the whole way. Yeah, because people walk in New York. You catch one subway to get to one end of town and one borough, and then you got to catch another subway to get... And it was, by the time I got to the audition, I was exhausted. And I did get a call back.
Really? Good
yeah,
for you.
I got a call
That's
back
hard
for
in New York.
It was hard.
Is.
And I went with a friend of mine, and they were as hard as they were on the actors and singers, they were really hard on the dancers. That poor girl.
Wow.
After 2 days of we were there for 3 days and still didn't know anything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now you went for a singing role or a dancing role? What role did you go
I went for a singing role.
Okay.
I auditioned for Motormouth Maybelle.
Yeah, okay. I love that part.
Yeah,
love that part.
it's a great part.
It's like, you go, girl. Yeah, whatever you do, you go there.
Yeah.
Oh, so believe me when I tell you, they missed the boat that you didn't get it.
Well, I did get it. I actually turned it down.
Really? Well, now you got to walk us by that. Why?
I turned it down because after 3 days of being in New York, I had no idea it was not a union production. I didn't know.
They didn't say anything?
See, you live and learn. You do stupid things and then you live and learn.
Okay.
And I was like, they were paying next to nothing.
Well, yeah, non-union.
And I could not go on tour and not have money to live and pay my bills. Yeah, I ended up turning it down.
Well, I understand why.
Yeah,
wow.
I did book it though.
Good for you. Because I'm saying, because you said no, then you went on. I'm going, wait a minute now. Because I know that they're pretty tough in New York when it comes to auditions.
It was fun for me though. I love auditioning.
Oh my!
It's a chance to perform. It's a chance to perform. So.
And now out here, what are you like? What are you doing like now? What's happening?
Well, there is
had 3 shows earlier this year.
I did 3 shows.
Tell us a little bit about those.
2 weeks apart. Oh my God! I felt like I was being pulled into 18 pieces. The end of June, I did my own show with my own band at Vitello's in Studio City.
And what is that called? Your group?
It's just Kim Yarbrough.
Okay.
It's just Kim Yarbrough and her band. And then 2 weeks after that, that's why I got the Etta James look today.
I love it. Okay. Love it.
Because 2 weeks after that, I produced my own show about the life of Etta James. I wrote a story about the life of Etta James. That was very well received in Los Angeles and in Palm Desert.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then 2 weeks after that, I went to Atlantic City to play Della Reese in a new musical. And so right now that I'm back, I'm just kind of resting before the next wave of things. There is a new movie about the life of Charles Manson coming out that I'm in. It's going to premiere in Berlin, and then it's coming here next year.
And what part do you play that?
I play an inmate.
No way.
I play an inmate
with the new black, the black of new orange, whatever that is.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
My Lord! Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But now, tell me more about Della Reese with you. How did you first meet her? Because she is fabulous, fabulous lady.
You know, I actually had just gotten out of the hospital, and I went right from the hospital to an audition.
Wow.
I know. I had just moved to Los Angeles. It was the year 2000, and I don't remember what musical I was auditioning for, and this girl that was sitting outside the audition room heard me inside, and she grabbed my arm and said, "Who are you?" where did you come from?
Wow.
I said, well, I just moved here from the Twin Cities, and this is like one of my first auditions. She said, you have to come to my church. And I'm like, okay. What church is that? She said, it's Della Reese's church, and you have to join the choir.
Oh, and by the way, that choir is fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she asked me to come to the service, and I did. And the minute I walked in the door, I just knew I was home. Yeah. And Della took me under her wing, and she actually produced a show on me.
I was going to ask you about that show.
Yeah, in 2008, called Della Reese Presents Kim Yarbrough, introducing me to the Hollywood community.
Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful. She helped me in so many ways.
Well, she helped so many people.
She really did.
And I understand, because I met her just that once, that all her life she was always like that.
Yes, a nurturer.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what more can I say about Della Reese? So you were blessed to have a show. And how long did that show go?
It was just a one-night show, but it was a huge stage production.
Wow. And now the ones that you just did, is there a chance that they're going to go on to other things now?
Yes, the Etta James show, I'm hoping I'm going to, since it's been so well received in 2 cities in Southern California, I'm really wanting to take it to Broadway, because there's actually 2 shows. There's a one-woman show that I do, and I have an expanded show that's 2 hours long with, a 15-minute intermission, 8 dancers, 5 other actors.
Oh, wow.
And so I would like that show to go to Broadway, but right now we are working on a theater space to put up the one-woman show.
Mm-hmm. And that theater space in here or in New York?
It would be here, starting out. Hopefully we'll get to San Jose, because that's like a springboard for Broadway.
I didn't realize that. Wait a minute now. San Jose, California?
Right.
San Jose.
Yeah.
I never knew that. So that's like, so people who want to try things out go there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Or you can put a show up there.
We just had the privilege a week ago of seeing the Terry Steele tribute to Luther Vandross.
Oh,
beautiful.
Amazing show. And
Amazing.
Ren Brown, whom you may have
I know Ren.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Ren is taking the Gospel of Colonus
Did
to
you
New
see
York.
that?
Yes, I have seen it.
And he's going to be sitting in that chair sometime in the next
Please
couple
tell
of months.
Ren I said hello.
I will.
I auditioned
That was
with
one
him.
of the best
really?
shows we've
Yeah.
ever seen at the
Oh,
Nate
yeah.
Holden.
Yeah, that
It's
was
beautiful. The
fabulous.
Gospel, 32 gospel singers
Yeah.
just sang their hearts out for 2 hours.
And then there was a blind pianist.
Yes.
And I
Who
can't
also
remember-
he also hosts a major radio show. I don't recall his
I
name.
mean, I was like in tears.
His wife was sitting right behind us in the audience.
I'm so mad. I'm
But Terry it was a wonderful, wonderful tribute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So I wish you
Sure.
well with that.
Thank you
Yeah.
so
And then
much.
what other projects do you have? I mean, like...
Well, I filmed an episode of a show called Sneaky Pete.
Oh, that is so cute.
It's on it's on Amazon Prime Network.
Oh.
And that's going to be not airing probably till 2019, but I'm working on some projects that I'm not talking about too much, because I just finished a slew of projects, but there will be something coming up very soon, I can assure you.
One of the things that we want our audience to know, and we want you to know, is that whenever you have anything coming up, give us as much notice as you can, so
thank
we
you.
can let the world know to go and support you.
Thank
That's
you,
what
Doug.
this is all about.
And
Thank
also,
you.
you have some CDs.
I do.
Nice and Slow. I like that. It's
That's
a
my
family
single.
show, but it is what it is. Nice and Slow and Brand New Day. Now, where can our audience buy these 2 particular albums?
They can Google them.
Okay.
And all of the digital outlets will come up. They can Google Kim Yarbrough.
Kim Yarbrough.
Kim Yarbrough Brand New Day.
Brand New Day.
And they can also Google Kim Yarbrough Nice and Slow, and I believe it's on iTunes and
great.
Amazon.
And we are showing the front of those CDs as we're speaking.
Well, actually, the new CD, the Nice and Slow, is a single that I released.
Okay.
But the new CD is called Champagne and Grits.
Oh,
Okay.
and when will that come out?
Probably in the next couple of months.
Okay, let us know, because we'd like
Yes.
to put it on the air.
The
Just in
physical
time
CD is
for
out.
holiday gifts.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be great.
Thank you.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, the digital release is coming up soon.
Champagne
but I have the physical.
and grits. Do you know, I don't know, my audience, you know what grits are? What are grits?
Corn.
Corn.
Yeah.
Okay. So champagne and corn, but grit sounds better. No.
Yeah, it's a derivative of corn, and then they just mash it, and it becomes
what is
grains.
EP Dharma 888?
Okay, an EP is a shorter version of an album.
Ah, see, I'm learning something.
3 to 5
Thank you.
songs.
Okay.
So Dharma 888 is an EP that I released, I don't know, 2008? Yeah, that's why it's called 888.
Okay.
I released it on August 8th, 2008. And it's about my Dharma. My Dharma, my place, and my purpose in the world.
I love it.
And they're 3 songs that embody who I am as a spiritual being.
Right.
And that's what it's about.
Well, you're
basically.
a blessed spiritual person as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're ready for another song.
Okay, all righty.
So I hope you're there.
Thank you.
There you go.
A thrill that I've never known. Oh yeah, and you smiled, oh, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven. For you are mine at last, mine.
Whoa! Wow! 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 When I say to you, my dear friends out there, that in life there are people, there are blessed souls that bring to the light what we all want to see in life. And Kim, you certainly do bring to the light your love of what you do, your beauty, your talent, and I thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because it just takes my breath away.
I am a reflection of you both.
Well, all I know is it ain't over until you or us say it's over.
That's right.
Because it's attitude and gratitude that make Pink Lady Presents our show truly what it is. I thank every one of you out there for letting Kim, Chaplain Dove, and myself be part of your lives. And I thank you for watching us, because through you, seeing who we have on, like Kim, will make your day a better day. God bless. Thank you. See you next time.
You're listening to Pink Lady Presents, only on LA Talk Radio.